What other that song is? We needed it, Chuck. Good thinking. Needed that song. If you look what Kevin wrote in here, that's why I do what I do. And I got to tell you, uh, I am concerned, because I want you to do well. And these are the kind of things that can really get you if you get overloaded and you panic. You can never panic, but if you get overloaded, you're going to crash and burn. And that's what we were trying to do, is to keep you from panicking, because it really is one of those situations that you got to be careful. All right. I think we ought to go to maybe we ought to go to a live market first before we get the slides. That's what I'm thinking. Let's start with the E-mini. Let me draw out some numbers for everybody where to see how to frame today's market with the E-mini. All right, let me give you the numbers that I consider important. 67, 62, 67, 75, 67, 75, and then 68.05 to the top side. To the downside, 67.45, 67.25. That's the big one. I put that in bold print. 67, I think it's 67.11, if I remember from view, 67.11, 66.95, 66.85, and then 66.70. That gives you the numbers ladder that I would trade off of today. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, now let's look at a few stocks. Let's start with the NVIDIA. Let's start with NVIDIA. And Jonathan, why don't you tell everybody the numbers you got currently in the moneymaker?
67.62 on the S&P and 66.95 to the downside. What we
Yeah,
currently
those
have.
are good numbers right now, Carol. Okay. Now let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA has a pivot number at 186. 186. That's your line in NVIDIA. Apple has a pivot number. I think it's, Jonathan, look at the numbers you gave me. I can't get off screen to look at it, but you've got it calculated.
273. 273. Actually, right where that frame high is, 273.11 would be good.
That's Apple, right?
Yep.
All right. And then let's look at it's NVIDIA, Apple. Let's look at the QQQ. Where's its pivot number?
QQQ was 604, I believe. Yeah, excuse me. We did the TQQQ at 104 quarter.
Yeah, the TQQ is 104. And where's the QQQ? Let's go on and do it.
QQQ. Yesterday's high on the QQQ was 618.12. 618.12. Today's low was 597.18. That puts our midpoint around, hang on, did the math wrong here. Hang on, let me do it again. 618 plus 597. Midpoint 607.5 or so.
All right. Draw a line there where you can see it. There's your midpoint. Now, how this works, folks, this is going to tell you if you have these tickers, when those tickers, the rally starts rolling over from those numbers. Okay. That's how that works. And that's why they're good. It's a good way to do it. All right. We did the TQQ, didn't we? We did the TQQ already.
Yeah, 104.15.
Yes, 104.56. All right. Let's do the SPY itself.
All right, the SPY, we had a high yesterday of 680.86, a low today of 663.25. Midpoint is 672.11.
672.11 for SPY, slightly below on the SPY, a little weaker on the S&P 500. I'd go on and compute the SPX for today. I might trade it this afternoon. SPX.
On the SPX, yesterday's high was 68.28. Today's low was 66, I call it 47. That makes a 67.37 midpoint.
67.37. So about 3 points running into resistance. And it should, because the S&P's got resistance at 62. Does everybody understand how this works? Okay. Now, we'll also do MU because that's the stock Jennifer's asking about. She's one of my favorite students. So we're going to give her a little special treatment today.
MU made a new high today over yesterday.
Yeah, and just for your information, I did take, Jonathan, I don't know if we had any open positions in our services. I had an open position in my account. I got out of it this morning. I'm glad on that. Okay. Since Doc is a new student, let's do Google for him. We'll do Google.
Google's high yesterday, let's see, was 283.5. Today's low, 271.5. Combine those about two, you get 277.5. That's the midpoint.
Yeah, AGI for Jim. Now, Carol's doing something very smart, I think. She is going to the sidelines on her profitable positions, and she's been that's probably a good place to be, because I'd rather come back in next Tuesday. I'd rather come back in next Tuesday and let the day play out and Monday play out to have some better numbers with this new transition. But these midpoints can hold you in here until it's time to do exactly what Carol did. Okay.
33.05 is the midpoint on AGI past 2 days.
There you go, Jim. 33.05. But what I do is I had Jonathan calculate these this morning, obviously with the futures and everything else, and just reminding where the futures midpoint was, where they'll have that number.
On the S&P?
Yeah.
That was a 67.81 midpoint, 67.81.
67.81. So the S&P, remember the S&P and the SPX and the SPY are dragging while everything else is going up. Everybody see there's a little divergence going on there. So you either get a catch-up move in those positions, or they're giving us a signal that this afternoon after Genesis might not be pretty. Anyway, I think that helps everybody by doing what we just did, Jonathan. And if you're in TNT, if this happens, you'll see these postings in there for you to trade off of. A way I communicate with Jonathan a lot is using TNT to do some numbers on the fly for me like that to help me. Any questions about that? Anything else we want to cover before we get to the next step, the slides? Now, John, don't we have a NVIDIA Iron Condor pinned at 190 today?
We sure do. And I just got an NVIDIA at 188.35 right now, Tom.
You think you can give me another $1.50 and close it? That would be like Babe Ruth on a home run. Okay. Dave said, would I consider a pocket put? Yeah, I would, because we're below the monthly open, Dave. I would consider that. and I might do it. But if I did it, I'd do it late in the day. Okay, I'd do it late in the day. I'd want to see. I wouldn't do it if we're in the top third of the daily range. And right now you got a high today of let me find it for you. The high for these mini is 67.75, low 70. That's about 150. If you're probably above 62, I wouldn't do it, Dave, because it's above the opening. I'd wait another day, Monday. All right, so why don't we get in the slides where everybody can educate themselves to what to do if this happens again. Past performance is not indicative of future results. In my opinion, the market turmoil that was created was fast and furious. And just like it was fast and furious, it's snapping back fast and furious, which builds the support in there for people that panic. We did not panic. We were not panicans. We were not panicans and never will be if you listen to me. We take our time, we evaluate the data, and then we make our decisions. Since yesterday morning at 5 o'clock, I've been saying, keep your hands in your pocket. All right, welcome to Train and Trade. All trades. I tell everybody all the time, if you're not a member of Talk and Trade and you've been sitting out there about to jump out of the third floor, you wouldn't have if you'd been a member of Talk and Trade, because I think we did a good job in Talk and Trade during this market turmoil to keep you apprised of numbers and what we thought the best strategy was. Okay? Now, today's focus is hedging during a downturn. I want you to have this because it's a review for a lot of you, but at the same time, if you're new, it's the first time I've covered this probably since about a year, I think. Okay. Most people lose money trying to trade a market moving this fast and furious. That's the first insight I will give you. Think about the fact if you'd have got short at the opening this morning, 9:30, how much you would have lost on any leverage position. And Jonathan, just giving an illustration, where was the QQQ at the opening this morning?
It opened at 599.5.
And currently it's at 609. That's 10 points, folks. That's not chicken feed. 10 points is twice the daily range, or well, at the current range, it's about over the daily range already. Okay. 5 points used to be the daily range. I think it's moved. Okay. All right. That's something to keep in mind. Let's talk about using same day options to hedge. We never had this before, so I want to cover it. Here's the way I do it. A general strategy is to buy a 50 delta put option, whether it's on futures or whether it's on the SPX. Buyers of the put option make money if the market continues to go down. It will hedge positions you have. For example, where was SPX yesterday at the opening? You know, Jonathan, or the high yesterday, just giving an idea.
Yesterday's high was up at 68.28.
68.28, and we're currently trading 67.40. That's 120 points. That would have hedged it pretty much any portfolio out there. And the way you calculate that, and I'll just tell you, that's $100 a point, right? Right, Jonathan?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So tell them what one contract Delta 50 would hedge.
Well, if you look at the SPX right now, the price of the SPX is 67.45, we'll call it. And if you multiply that number by 100, 67.45 times 100, that's 674,500. All right. Now, we know that a Delta 50 put option will move 50 cents for every 1 point move. So if you just bought one Delta 50 put option, you would hedge half of that, half the value of the SPX. So whatever half of 674,000 is, divide that by 2. You're hedging 337,000 on the SPX, and the SPX is a beast of a market. You should know that if you're trading SPX options. It covers it. It moves a ton of money.
Each and every day.
Yep.
But it's probably the single best way to hedge a big portfolio. If you got a small portfolio, you can use the XSP, and the XSP is 1/10 the size of that. So what'd you say, 600,000, right? Minus so it'd be about 60,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just want to give you the idea if it ever happens again. Okay. Everybody understand that? Now I prefer, because when this happens, it just doesn't stop during the day. I prefer to use the E-mini futures and do a put same day. But again, you have to go in there knowing that it's going to move on you. And if your time is off a little bit, we're talking about, it's going to cost you some money. To give you an idea, Jonathan, what would a Delta 50 cost right now if we thought the market was going down?
Right now, Delta 50 would be, let's see,
For
today's
today.
expiration.
For the day.
It cost you $1,900.
Yeah, about $1,900 to cover about, what'd you say, 300,000? What was the half?
Yeah, 350 or so, 350,000.
Yeah, 350,000. If you thought the market was going down. Now the XSP would be 1/10 of that. So one put on it would cover 33,000, right, Jonathan?
Right, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to know this just in case this ever happens again and you see a RB3 negative and you're worried about your position. Does everybody understand what I'm teaching you, right? Doesn't have to be that precise, but it sure would come in handy to sit there and have it offset the fall we had understanding, holding stocks. Okay. That's very important. All right. Now let's look at a Delta 50 option. It opened at 66.72, had a range of nearly 60 points. Here's what happened to the Delta 50 option.
I don't know if you can see, but it opened at 25, and then the first 5 minutes it spiked to 40. And then the market reversed. And look at what happened to the value of that option. All the way down about an hour ago, it was down to $5-6.
$5 to $6. Okay. $5 to $6. That would kill you if you just said, I can't take it anymore and did it. Okay. So you go in with a different mindset when you go with this strategy. It's an all or nothing mindset. Okay. Everybody got that? All or nothing is what we're talking about, right, Jonathan?
Well, when you're trading same-day expiration options that move so fast, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You gotta consider the worst case scenario, which is all or nothing.
Yeah, because the reason I say use same day, because you really want to get hedged, if like yesterday or today. Okay. Anyway, I wanted to cover that because I think this is helpful and you can watch the tape and think about it, because the market itself right now is not going down, it's going up. Now, do you see why I tell you the importance of RBs? Why the reference bars I've mapped out for you, nobody's got it, you've got it, use it to your benefit. It waved you off in this turmoil. Okay. Now look at the market. What is this? 2 hours later. You gotta love you some RBs tonight. Okay. Now what I cover is highly aggressive trading intraday. What about hedging a longer term correction in the market? In other words, if we stayed down and went down and tested these lows, what would be a good way to hedge? The best way, let me just say this before we get into this. The best way to hedge is being cash. Nothing's better. Cash is king. I'm just going to tell you that. Cash is king. Okay. Cash is king. Okay. The current price of the SPY is around 672. Is that the current price now? It's probably higher, isn't it?
Probably a little higher now, but that's
Yeah.
that's all right. Yep. I can update the slide if need be.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
We'll make it 674 so we can be live and up to date here.
Anyway, we want to show that, but from a dollar standpoint, it means 100 shares of the SPY controls about $67,000. So 2 puts on the SPY Delta 50 would give you a 67,000. Everybody understand this? And the reason we're doing this, and Jonathan, you can chime in, you did the slides, but you know where we're going with this. But obviously, this is a way if you want to hold a portfolio. Okay. Again, I'll keep coming back. Cash is king. If you feel that way about your portfolio, like I do, you can always get back in. I'm going to clean up everything, and my goal is get back in next Tuesday with a new bunch of things. Okay, keep going, Jonathan.
And for the longer term deal here, you usually go out. I think when in the past you've gone out, a week to maybe a little bit longer.
Right.
Not the same day. Not using the same day expirations on this.
No, I wouldn't use same day. Same day is sort of, hey, let's get covered and do some thinking because it kills you when you see that value drop like it dropped. It dropped so big, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Even small, if you had small stocks, you got killed. I was looking over there. It's a couple things. I said, I can't believe it's down that much, but it was down. Okay. Remember, even good stock falls when the S&P declines. Does this answer the question why is Tom always focused on the S&P? Today gives you the clue. Looking at the S&P, I can watch the S&P and tailor everything else. The S&P's at 81 right now, 67, 81, going higher. So what is that telling me? Hey, NVIDIA is going to go higher. Okay. Thank you, John. Now, no one can call a bottom. We can be prepared to have a good idea of when it turns. My pivot number is 67.62. That was last night's opening. We're at 67.83 right now. Now we're getting into some other numbers above. I gave you those numbers. Jonathan, what was the number I gave above 62? 75 or above that? What's the number above 75 I gave you?
6805.
Yeah, so I would change the moneymaker to, I would go with 62 because of the volatility, and I'd go 6805 would be my new moneymaker numbers.
6805 and 6762, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And what you want to do with the moneymaker, keep the current mark. If you do it, use it the way I use it, I keep it contained by current support and current resistance. That's another reason TNT's always got it updated, especially during the day where I got Chuck and John helping. NVIDIA's at 190.51, Jonathan, 190.51. Okay. So what was the total take that we took in on our
95 cents.
So we got $1, 191. If it goes 191, okay, it goes the other way, right? But we're a lot better than we were, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
The one I want to see is the TQQ come back. Oh man. Anyway, I want to, okay, any questions before I get into my live trading that I'm doing at 1:30 today? Any questions at all? Yeah, Claire, as long as we close above 67.25, we're still bullish this quarter. Okay. That's a big number. Like I told everybody all month long, that's the number that tells you on a close below that, we got to change our strategy. And I will. Jonathan, this is fun. I'm having a lot more fun today than I did yesterday in that car with no internet.
I bet.
All right, another insight you ought to write down. If I tell you I'm traveling, circle the wagons. It always happens when I travel.
Folks, we'll be live again at 1:30 this afternoon with Tom. It's called Live Trading with T-Buzz. We're doing this for the rest of this year and then the first quarter of next year. So that's 4 sessions every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, from 1:30 to 3. Somebody did the math. It was around 80 sessions.
Hey, Jonathan, let me ask you a question. What do you think about this live trade? You sort of been I would say, really surprised at all the good we do, aren't you?
I think it's great for everybody to see what we can do in the afternoon off the reference bars. There's 7 reference bars during the day. They each offer opportunity, and we focus on that RB4 in the afternoon. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Chuck called me and he said, Tom, I forgot just how important these reference bars are in the afternoon until we started doing this. He said everybody's got their eyes open, I think. Do y'all feel the same way, the members that are in there? It's quite a commitment on our part to be there, but I love it when y'all are sending me love letters like you're sending me. Pretty wild.
One of the big bonuses of this live trading is going to be an all-day trading and educational session next year, January the 8th. And something that is really eye-opening from a bigger picture standpoint. Tom always does this at the first of the year. He gets a big picture framework for the year, his expectations, and he lets everybody know. And Tom has had quite a few calls that have been nothing short of unbelievable, if I'm being honest with you, because we do all this short-term trading each and every day, right? But Tom doesn't lose track of that bigger picture focus, which is extremely important to the framework of everything we do. I know we don't talk about the bigger picture that much, but it definitely is. Roz, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, all you got to remember how important that first 5 days of the year is. Go back to 2022 when everybody was telling people, buy on the dip, buy this market. And I was telling everybody on the 5th day of January, get short. We're in a bear, take advantage of it. And boy, didn't we? I remember meeting in June of that year, Carol. I remember you telling me, Tom, everybody's telling me to buy everything. You got me out of the market, and I saved a fortune. You didn't make a lot of money because you wasn't trained at that time, but that was a great conversation. And Dave Meyer was, he's retired, and he was down based on 30 or 40%, and we got him circle around. He's still here today because of that. But that's a big day, that special bonus. I'm going to tell you, I probably will open it up if people don't want to be in the deal at $1,000 or $1,500 for that day. Okay. That's the bottom line. I mean, it's a big bonus for this class. Now, this is something that is becoming more and more important after the last 2 days. I'm going to draw on this playbook, and my cousin who wrote my books wrote this to show you what kind of quality writing's inside. But these sold for $10,000 back in 2006, and I saw the crash of 07 coming, and I said, we got to do this. We put it together. We had a hotline built. We had a lot of stuff including that thing back then to catch that move down. We caught it. And the beautiful thing about it, on the day it ended, March 9th, 2009, at noon, I remember the S&P was at 666. I told everybody, cover all your shorts. We're going long over noon, the noon balloon. We got long then and stayed long, really, except for 2011 for a little bit and 22. We pretty well caught it. And but that book was very valuable to have to study. We'll draw 5 people that's a member of the T-Buzz Live Trade. I love doing this with you. You make it fun for me. And I think that's important. Join our live trading. We'll be there at 1:30 today. If you're a non-member, it's $9.99, but you get to be in with us the rest of the year, plus the first quarter, plus the class, plus you're eligible for the drawing. And if you're a current member, it's an add-on of $749. Get on board, folks. Get on board. We've earned your business by what we do. And I think if you get on board, you're going to love it because it gets better and better. Think about that one. Thanks, Bob.